now we're talking. We want to talk about the four paths of on the adoption. First, I'd like to ask Dr. Gong, right? For the food operation is one of the most traditional fragmented industry out there. What was the first use case where your product actually generated a measurable ROI for your client? Yeah.
Very, very good question. Because we picked a very hard problem to solve. Today, of course, when you hear physical AI, some of them is about the accuracy of the model, right, of the physical world. But for us, we choose to solve a real problem in the physical environment. Kitchen, commercial kitchen is as hard as it can be. So what we decide to do is we analyze the problem. We realized one of the biggest problem contributing to them being inefficient and then end up wasting our labor, energy, and the money is actually they simply do not have visibility on what's going on. How much of the ingredient they bought, how much they are prepping, how much is left and wasted. This whole process. So what we end up doing is the first thing we solve is we used AI in a couple of key ways. The first thing is we leverage the AI to be able to recognize, identify any ingredient or any food item without pre-training. So this is very critical. Self-labeling, self-learning. And then we are able to track menu by menu, right? Day in and day out with timestamp, with temperature. With all this, now you have a basis to know what is most popular given the menu lineup and what is you overproduce the most. It's actually very simple. With that, today what we are able to do is for this kitchen environment, typically within 4 to 6 weeks, they are able to reduce their overproduction by over 50%. And right now we have customers, the longest one is 2 years, and some of them shorter, including like Stanford, UMass Amherst across campus deployment, and also LinkedIn, some of the hotels. The case study coming back telling us right now, typically they will get an ROI of 5 to 11 times. That's based on the current data we have in the field. So in the end, it's able to allow them to onboard very easily, makes the life of everyday operator really easy, right? They get the data, get the insight to take action, but without the manual process. And that's where we look at AI to do, and we still have a lot of room to actually further improve it, to make the automation meaningful and impactful to them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really look at this technology with Dr. Gong's working on, right? Because you guys may know currently, recently the Starbucks just canceled their AI inventory project just because AI cannot make it to the accuracy which Dr. Gong's company can do. So yeah, very good progress on your side, Dr. Gong. And the second one, I want to talk to Bill. You're building the OS layer for AI agents from the infrastructure side for financial industry, right? What's the biggest technical barrier enterprise hit when they try to actually deploy AI agents in the production from your perspective?
Yeah, thanks. So I guess I overall do two things, right? First thing is as a human being, I like invest in AI stocks. It's kind of similar to this situational awareness, right? Look at the whole supply chain and understand how the world is moving, and essentially mentally I build a kind of like a financial world model in my head of like the world map, like kind of if you play like what's it called, the game like a World War like 3 or like a Star Wars. You have this like world frog, right? Like there are things you don't know and you try to know it. It's kind of active learning. You spend effort, you like talk to your AI as an analyst to dig into some of the problems. For example, like is like a CPU in like a super high demand case, will the future be like ARM CPU or will it be like x86 like AMD Intel CPU? There are type of problems that you ask by understand the world. And through your understanding of the world map, you like spend effort selectively on the things that are really important. We call it normally like identify the drivers, and then you basically throw a lot of resource onto the key questions that you decompose into like small questions that becomes factual. Since a lot of the real human trading is not algo quant trading that are backtestable. You cannot really like dig out the investment and look at the history and understand whether this is profitable, right? For example, the AI revolution never happened. You cannot look at the past 20 years of data and understand what what is history if I ran this strategy 10 years ago, what happened. So you truly need to figure out a verifiable proxy, which normally is like factual questions and the answer to them, right? For example, is AMD's like GPU cards entering the most recent racks that people designed for NVIDIA cards, but if they cannot get NVIDIA cards, can they swap it with AMD's GPU cards? This is like a classical example of the things you want to ask, and potentially either your agent is able to get an answer, or if it cannot, you need to spend the human cycles, right? You need to like send out a human, do the research, do the expert call to actually dig out these things. But fundamentally, you have an orchestration of like a thinker that is an AI agent that should learn how to decompose questions and get verifiable answer. And through here, you in the end will build a system that thinks like a very good like a human portfolio manager team, right? That has like a senior portfolio manager, and they give like a high level task. Okay, I like the shape of CPU. Let's figure out some tickers. And then there are junior PM / like senior analyst that have good taste of the word and can ask relatively important questions along the lines. And then there are junior analysts that basically like today replaced by AI that essentially look at all the PDFs, building Excels, and like going out and fetching information. All these things today can be done by AI. There is still like a leaf node that cannot be replaced by AI, which is like go to first-party events, like these offline events, and talk to people in person. But I try to push as much of those conversations into having, for example, AI personal device that you like carry with yourself, right? Either your voice recorder or whatever, as long as it's allowed to like make everything as digital as possible, so that the AI decision-making system have as much context as possible. In the end, it have like a full-fledged like material for it to make decisions. That's roughly how I decompose my investment process into agent. And currently, I'm still building this. I'm trying to mimic how, say, like Peter built OpenCloud, right? I used to also build some personal AI. Now I try to spend the same cycle that Peter spent by like intensively talking to AI and try to like create a large system that at least serve myself as my personal like a second brain of like mimicking how I do investment. I hope that can be like really powerful. That eventually, if it learns like 80% of me, it will be like able to work 7 days, 24 hours, and look at 1,000 tickers in parallel. So it should make much more money than me, right? I was okay, right? I was like 20x over like 1 to 2 years. So I hope if I can build this system, it can be like 100x over a year. Of course, it's like a market fluctuates, but I think next few years is still we are on the ramp to AGI, right? So there's a lot of new opportunity coming up, and it needs a lot of this like dramatic catalyst level change, and needs a system that can digest information, have the taste to ask the right question to capture it. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting, kind of like a personal experience combined with a business experience. Next one will be Bruce. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so for the OCAD lab, right, is combining AI with Bitcoin, an AI agent native layer 2. What's unique about the adoption challenge you facing compared to the traditional AI company?
I think we are sitting at the intersection of so-called blockchain world and the AI world, because we believe, the traditional so-called internet, so-called Web 2, is not very friendly to or native to agents, because think about all the just one example. If you want your agent to be more independent and they can transact and pay each other, I think if you go to use the traditional payment rails like credit card or bank account, ACH, they are not very friendly to agents. They're not native. Versus if you use crypto, because it's like Bitcoin, right? If you have the private key, which is like a long string, as long as you own that, you own your own money. So same way, besides payments, everything almost internet-wise has to be rebuilt from to be more agent native, because the number of agents, the number of humans on the internet is pretty much like 8 billion. It's probably not going to grow anytime very fast. But if you talk about agents, we are going to have many agents, and the agents, they are going to be more and more independent, autonomous. So for that to happen, they need some kind of like almost like a new internet, which they have agency in mind. For example, they can connect with each other, they can transact each other, they can discover each other. So one example I can use is, many people probably here use kind of like personal agents, right? Like OpenClaw, Hermes, and it's kind of like the PC era. Everybody has their own PC. You can do kind of cool things, calculator, or Microsoft. The interesting thing is when all the computers connect to each other. It's like an agent, right? But right now we are missing that kind of an infrastructure. We are kind of like forcing the old way of connecting humans. We can try to force them to use like existing infrastructure designed for humans, but we try to adapt them for agents. But that probably not be the optimal way. The better way would be just think from scratch. What if you are agent today? What kind of infrastructure you look forward? For example, you don't want to have phone numbers or email or KYC just to talk to other agents, right? So we have some product, for example, think about it's like an Instagram, Facebook or Telegram, but for agents. So you don't need a phone number. You just, as long as you have Bitcoins, you have private key, you can transact, you can discover each other, you can pay other agents to run skills for you. So we're really believing to use the crypto rails to serve the AI agents, to make them more autonomous and more efficient. And that's our thesis.
Yeah, it's very interesting because currently there are a lot of ways we try to solve how agent to agent talking and payment problem. And in this way, maybe we can solve the security and privacy or like efficiency problem in a different way, right? Which is a great one. Todd, the next one will be yours. I know you're working on the specific area in the AI legal, and did you encounter any adoption concerns, and how do you guys solve it in the real way? Yeah.
Yes, so we are solving for the law firms, right? It's a highly regulated domain. So I would say different domains definitely have different criteria, but the first thing we have to understand is what's the top concern from our client. As a law firm, they care about security, they care about privacy, right? So it's who is able to access the data. So that's definitely the first thing you have to address for that. Our solution is simple. Our solution is we encrypt every data they upload to our platform. They are the only one able to see the data. In other words, right, so we are the only and the first encrypted AI platform in the legal domain that is not only a closed system, but every data is encrypted. So that's the first thing that you have to make sure that so a client have trust in you, that they're able to use this AI system to do what they want, right? Regardless of the accuracy. So that's also the top reason why today, right, so very few lawyers, so they are able to put any sensitive data like medical record into ChatGPT or Cloud, right? Because they are not HIPAA compliant. So you have to guarantee that first. Second thing, really, to me, legal domain, they care about accuracy so much, right? So if they submit something to the court that have misinformation or have solution, they will get sanctioned on that. They even lose a job, right? So they want to make sure that so every AI system I'm using today, you are able to produce a result that is almost 90% ready. Right? So what we provide to law firm essentially is like a paralegal or attorney is a co-worker. They use our system as a co-worker, and then we produce the first version of whatever is medical knowledge, that is analyzed medical record. Right today, so that is the mandate work. So for example, so if they have to analyze medical record themselves, like 1,000 pages, how long take them to do that? 10 hours. In our platform, 20 minutes. We are not like return a result 100% ready, right? But it's like 9% ready, 95% ready. So they become a professional reader. They review the final results, make any correction is needed, and then submit that. So that's essentially like the most important thing to deliver the value that is essentially to do the manual work they have to do previously, but now today with AI can do that for them. So last thing I would say is easy to use. Many people don't realize that it's so important, but in the past 2 years, the biggest lesson I learned from our platform is easy use. So we originally, our first generation Anytime AI platform, it's more like a traditional SaaS platform interface. Okay, for everyone here, I can say, you will say, wow, this is so easy to use, right? It's very clear. You click this button, you upload this document, you choose this result, you can do that. But today, because people are so used to like chat or actually AI, right? So they want to see like, I just to simply ask a question there. I simply like, to give a command, you are able to do that for me. So your whole interface design, how to align with the client need and the trend today so that they can easily adopt you. So I would say this is really that probably is the most important thing, like in the legal domain, how you make sure that so you are able to sell the product to a law firm.
Yeah, great about adoption current. And then I do have one question for Ray. Before we have one sentence for each of you, right? Ray, I've seen a lot of AI application. You've seen a lot of AI application companies. What are the real difference? The one that make it or the one don't, right? Is it the technology go-to-market adoption rate itself? What do you think?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We do invest a lot. Like I mentioned, we're over 100, 200 companies, at least in the AI space by itself. We have 1,500 portfolio companies. So we do see a lot of data and signals. We're seeing that in terms of companies, what really made it actually is not, if you look at overall structure, right? So there's always the founder, there's a product, there's a market, and there's the capital. That's the four dimension. A lot of times I don't think it's just one thing that matters, it's actually the fit that matters. So we're looking at, for example, the founders and the founder to product fit, founder to market fit, and founder to capital fit. There's a lot of things around that. I just think it's just what you can make it actually is, that's why this is more art than science itself. Because there's a lot of signal that as a VC we watch. It may not be always on the paper. You'll probably see a lot of announcement in terms of this one and that one. I think that's a lot on the surface, because on the surface you will see the growth. You will see the company actually growing very fast. Some of our companies, you just recently in the news, Corby Insurance, Hicks Field of the world, highly controversial but highly high growth. Then you see a lot of these kind of new kind of companies coming in because this cycle is very compressed. So what actually really means is that the founders and the product and the market and the capital really need to align together. The speed need to be much faster. So those type of things that we watch as a VC, and then we see a lot of different signals coming in. I don't think it's just one point. So happy to discuss if you want to do it offline.
Yeah, we don't have too much time to talk about in-depth discussion. Now I just want to have each of the panel have like just one sentence to wrap up our discussion today. Maybe start with Dr. Gong.
Thank you so much. So I will just leave with you one insight, that is, in particular, if you're looking at AI, how it's helping a real problem in a real environment, the first thing you need to be very clear is the problem, how does your local context information come in? Local context is the one to say it's right or not right. So keep that in mind, otherwise, you're going to be wasting your time because it's not simply about language anymore. Thank you.
Yeah, Bill.
I think the whole startup world has changed a lot to me, right? Like previously we built a lot of products that try to go to market and hope, people charge it. And now I see the whole world is actually changing in a way that there will be a much more 1% company, even 0% company, and there will be a lot of open source things that potentially the way that they distribute is through open source, and that people use it inside their like cloud code or codecs. But how the business model will surface out for this type of new one-person company is still a mystery to me. So I'd love to see how it pan out in the next few years.
Yeah, we're definitely watching the agentic evolution at this moment. I think the language models, whatever has been done, the infrastructure what we talk about, that's all 2 to 3 years ago investment themes. And right now we're just shifting a lot into the agentic, into the enterprise, into the newer models, even 3D models, the new areas that could make sense. So I think as a VC, a lot of themes that we're watching on a day-to-day and day-out basis tend to be a little bit ahead of the people talk about. I think even 2 years ago when we started to invest deeply into the agent, and not too many people actually talk about it. So today it becomes the trend, and we do see that will continue, and probably more being measured by implications to the labors, to the cost savings, to the cost and impact applications across the board. So looking forward to seeing more success there.
Yeah, we're definitely living in the age of AI, and everything is rapidly progressing. And I've been in the Web3 space for a long time, so specifically, I'm really interested to see how the so-called Bitcoin world can adapt to the AI challenges. For example, I think just yesterday, one of the biggest so-called cryptocurrency is at almost almost crashed because the latest Opus 4.8 release found a critical bug, inflation bug there. So it's very interesting to see how the AIs impact the crypto space, but I'm also interested in how to use Bitcoin specifically to help solve the AI's issues. So interesting years to come.
Yeah, so we are already time up, right? So my summary is very simple. First of all, right, so as a founder, we want to build a high defensible but a high growing company, right? The goal here, essentially, the way to achieve that is deeply integrate the domain workflow into the AI development. And the criteria to check that is, first of all, any client use a product, how to able to see the value in 5 minutes. At the meantime, there's no competitor able to replicate your technology in 5 months. I think that's the only way to survive and grow.
Yeah, thank you very much for the panel. Let's have a big applause for our panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we've made it. We have the last panel of the day that will conclude the conference. After the last panel, there will be a happy hour. And I think that the last panel has one of the most interesting questions. How can startups and agents make money? Brett will be moderating the panel. So Brett, please take it over.
For all of you who stay with us throughout the day, and I welcome everybody to come on stage. We have Grace and co-host of Smart Venture Media, and Paul, you want to come in? Paul's good friend running a really large community, Bay Area Founder Club. Ashish, managing partners at Silicon Ventures, and then Anchor from TDK, and they're gonna do their own show, but now I'm just running the wheel. All right, so we have a long day of technical panel, and you guys all have the mic, right? Sharing it. Okay, so we have a long day of technical conversations, and we want to bring some of the, everybody topic, but it's also critically important in terms of fundraising and go-to-market, because it's been chaotic the last 2 years in terms of, startup popping up like never crazier than ever before, and everybody's agentic, everybody's doing something in that AI world, Copilot. So we just want to dive in something and kind of see how to screen through the noise and find out what's real, what's essence. First of all, we want to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves, starting from Grace.
Hello, okay. Hi everyone, my name is Grace Khan. I'm the founder of Smart Venture Media. I host a popular VC podcast called Smart Venture Podcast. And 2 years ago, I started streaming. So every day I go live for the VC or founder or executive. So we are luckily, we already featured some of Silicon Valley's most iconic CEOs or VPs from like Google, Meta, Amazon, Snowflake, NVIDIA, all of big tech companies, as well as founder of Square, Loom, Cruiseling, Craigslist, a lot of like the OG tech companies, as well as like founder of Higgsfield, Genspark, Turing, Crusoe, among other like hot AI companies as well. We also feature a lot of amazing partners from different VC firms like Sequoia, ACNC, Lightspeed, Bessemer, NEA, among others, as well as Ashish within our show as well. Clap for him. Yeah, so that's a little bit of background for me. So beyond podcast, we did 3 summits in the past 365 days, and luckily we had the president of Cisco speaking there, former CEO of Instagram, CMO of a lot of different companies like Webflow, Vanta, among other top companies. We actually hosted our own summit on GTM, so head of GTM at 11 Labs, head of sales at Cloud Code, among other amazing AI companies, came to our conference as well. That's a little bit about me.
Hey everyone, my name is Ankur Saxena. Pleasure to be here. I'm an investment director at TDK Ventures, and I lead investments coverage for generative AI, AI infrastructure, and physical AI. Like everyone else, I'm investing in AI, no surprises. We are deep tech, early stage investors, pre-seed, seed, Series A for the most part, and we invest globally on behalf of TDK Corporation.
Yeah. Hey all, my name is Ashish. I'm a managing partner at Ventures. Seligman as a firm has been around for more than 150 years. Seligman funded the creation of Panama Canal, funded railroads, and took General Motors public back in the day. In the current form, Seligman Investments is a $30 billion plus hedge fund and mutual fund business. And we launched Seligman Ventures about 8 months ago with $500 million to back the most ambitious founders in the spaces of AI, cloud, security, and data center hardware. It's a 3-person team. My partner and I make all decisions. And we, in the past life, before founding this fund, backed companies like Cohere, which is one of the early pioneers in large language model space, Harness, one of the leaders in DevOps CAC automation, and Isovalent. And we've been actively investing. So if you're starting something amazing, come chat with me after this.
Hi everyone, my name is Wilson Lin. I'm an early stage investor at DCG. People know it as Digital Currency Group. We've been super successful in the blockchain and fintech space. We're early investors into companies like Coinbase, Circle, Kraken, and we're looking to replicate that in the world of AI. So we invest pre-seed and seed. We just start off with relatively modest check sizes, 100K to 500K. We can invest across multiple stages, all the way through IPO. We are also LPs in about 60, close to 70 other venture funds. So we speak a lot also with emerging managers. And then we also build our own companies. So one of our companies filed for an IPO last year. Hopefully the window opens up and I'll have a good outcome on that. But yeah, investing across the AI stack, infrastructure and applications, also doing physical AI as well. So excited to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul. I'm the founder and CEO at the Bear Founders Club. So we are a startup community with over 120K founders and investors. In terms of early stage startup, we have over 5,000, and for late stage and pre-IPO company, we have 8,000 in the community. And we also recently launched our BFC AI Gateway. So basically, we provide a unified API platform to connect business with over 100 plus leading AI models. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, so now we have this amazing mix of investors and community leaders and people knows a lot of founders and investors in the past. So first question goes to the street investor. Spend a lot of time in the AI space. So basically, every AI founder right now is pitching some sort of agent, copilot, automation. We talk about that. So as investors, what are separate companies that are building long-lasting value versus from those benefiting from temporary excitement around this category, and what's not going to be durable in this space right now? I'm gonna go ahead.
I'll go first. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a very hyped up area with a lot of noise. How do we kind of filter out the signal from the noise? I think the first signal we look for is workflow depth over feature breadth. So a lot of the pitches that I receive are basically a smart sort of UI layer on top of an existing workflow, but that does not cut it. I think that is just not deep enough. So we look for someone who has the right kind of credibility and domain experience to actually go really deep into an existing workflow and turbocharge it and deliver a certain economical benefit on, through automation. The other thing that I feel differentiates a startup from the rest of the pack is this observation that most of the agentic workflows originate from and end on human delivered output or input. And I feel the frontier, the cutting edge in agentic AI is not intelligence. It's the interface between humans and machines or humans and agents. I think that is the part that is lost on a lot of startup founders that focus a lot of their time and energy pitching and building just the product, their own core product, but not caring about where they operate in the real world in terms of interaction with humans. So that is, I think, what separates the good ones from the rest of the pack. I think the 10 to 20% last mile automation where humans are actually involved in the loop is what a lot of agentic AI startups don't factor into their product roadmap. So I think the agentic AI startups that succeed tend to have the right kind of auditability, explainability, and accountability so that humans can actually be not in the loop, but at least on the loop and supervise and monitor the agentic AI deployments and build that trust.
Yeah, so from my perspective, when we talk to an early stage startup, a lot of the focus is on the team. Why are you doing what you're doing? So for example, when we invested in Cohere a long time ago, there was a founder, almost pre-revenue at that time, and raising it, at that time was crazy valuation. Now it all makes sense. But then he was co-author of the paper, Attention is All You Need, which kickstarted the entire Gen AI revolution. Worked with amazing people like Jeffrey Hinton, who is one of the godfathers of AI. So we pay close attention to what is your life journey, why are you doing what you're doing, and what have you done that basically is making you prepared for this moment. So start with the team, and then we talk about technology focus. One of the key things was key technical insight. Like, do you have something, if you told a 10x engineer, can they build it themselves? And if the answer is no, then 2 years ago, you had a moat. By the way, that moat is now disappearing. So now it's for me, the question is, can I build it using AI prompting and get it to 80% to whatever this founder is building? And if it is true, it's very hard to have a technical moat. So then you look up and down the stack, right? You start with the application layer. A lot of the work is basically orchestrating workflows. And I think there is some moat there, where if I'm a lawyer, if I go to my office and then I'm doing redlining, can you train a model based on my daily workflow and specific data that's proprietary, that hides in my private VPC? Then there is a moat. You go down the stack and you're starting to talk about middleware and model layer. If you have to train a model, like training a model, it used to cost like 10 to 15 million for each run 2 years ago. Now that cost has gone down in a way, but also like the model sizes has gone up, so you need more GPUs, you're burning them day in, day out to get the first version. Does it work or not? Like, how does it perform? We see a lot of players that kickstart, in the top of the leaderboard, and then, performance fades out. We saw some of this with open source models. I won't name names, but there was another one which was one of the top performing, and now it is not. And then you go down into the data center hardware as well. So data center is not ready for what's coming. The modern data center is built for cloud workloads, and AI is not even there. So then the problem becomes like, do I have enough capacity in terms of compute? Do I have the power? And as the workloads move from your training to inference, is my data center even ready? What kind of chips am I using? How many GPUs can I stack on each rack, on each tray? And what kind of performance gains can I get based on the memory utilization for my workloads? And this is the kind of work that is hard for someone who's just starting in the industry to build. Like, it needs long domain expertise. You have to understand how to work with your suppliers, how to design a chip and tape it out. So that mode still exists. So if I look at up and down the stack, I think lower the stack, more the technology that we focus on, and higher the stack, closer to the application end user, it's more about the workflows, and that's how the market is evolving.
Yeah, no, great points. I think just a couple of examples. When we're talking about workflows and depth of understanding a content area over just a very surface level feature. You know, I'll just compare and contrast two startups that we looked at. One, it tried to gather some data, you know, just like draft an email, and it was essentially sort of like a glorified content drafter, right? And the reason why it's not valuable is because it's not a super painful thing to do, and you're not solving something that people are really necessarily going to be willing to pay a lot for. In contrast, we looked at another company that was basically like a site reliability engineer, sort of automated agent and resolution. And the founder had been an SRE himself, and had also a very strong AI ML background. And so he had lived through this pain, and you know, speaking to lots of people who had also lived through this pain of being woken up at 3 a.m. and checking their notifications, trying to resolve this during a holiday or whatever it is. And so what we appreciate about it is both an understanding of the pain and them using agentic workflows to actually solve something that no one really wanted to do, right? That's the magic of this, is you can have these agents do things while you're sleeping, literally sleeping. The second part is just understanding the real workflow, right? What is a human experience? How can it be improved? And in this world, what can an agent do that a human would find painful or not have the insight to do that maybe an agent can do, or have multiple agents be doing it in parallel? So I'd say those are really the core things that for us we really look for. Agree, like, you know, a team that has experienced the pain can really build off of that and have a true depth of knowledge into what exactly does an agent need to do that is complex within an enterprise. What files does it need to tap into? What integrations really have to be there? And then how do you really build something that is as reliable or more reliable than a human?
Those are amazing points, and I often wonder too at this age what I'm looking for as an investor. And something also triggered me quite a bit is the go-to-market side of things. We'll get to that, you know, in the next question. But for now, I want to go for Grace and Paul, because you guys are both super connectors, and since so many founders and great founders you talk to or you live in your network. So from this generation, the definition of success founders, how different from, let's say, 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago? Like, had that changed? When building become commoditized, is that go-to-market going to be the key things you see founder that are successful in this era?
I think like okay, I guess I'll just start. So I think there's like 3 things like makes the founder special right now. I'm also an angel investor. When I'm looking at the different deals or like the deals that eventually got backed by some of like the tier 1 firms is essentially, I think number 1 is speed. Ultimately, because of like nowadays, like being cloud shredded is kind of like inevitable because of like technically right now, it's really hard to actually find a technical mode because everything could be copied within like the next 6 months. So go to market or like differentiation is purely built on like personal brand as well as like marketing strategies. From a startup perspective, like number 1, I would say it's like speed. What is like, I guess like the execution or like we're in like a building era now. I feel like number 2 is like, I would say like the founder right now that are winning is like building every single tool in-house. So essentially like in the past, people are buying a software off shelf because of there's like a switch between like outcome. Previously, right now is like previously it was like a per seat based pricing for different SaaS companies. Now it's really outcome based pricing or usage based pricing. Recently, I think people probably all have seen the token maxing news as like startup or like companies are spending millions of dollars on tokens. Yeah, that may not be making them more effective. Though, like I feel like being in the builder mode will create the problem of like token maxing, but on the other hand, it will give you a more tailored solution instead of just like buying a product off shelf. And number 3, I would say it's like probably just like storytelling ability. Essentially, you have to convince VC to give you money, and then you have to convince customer to like, you know, like sign with your product versus like picking your competitors, and you have to recruit the best talent. So I would say like being able to build a personal brand is extremely important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think at Bear Fund Club, we have over like 120K members right now. So I'm talking to founders every day. So it's our mission is to serve like 10 million founders in the next decade. I think for me, I think the top 3 traits that make successful AI founder. Number 1, I think they are AI native problem solver. So they don't treat AI as a feature, but they redefine the workflow and also redesign the structure of the company. And for them, they use AI tools every day. They even use AI employees in the company. I think this kind of mindset is very important. You have to be AI native problem solver. Number 2, the same with what Grace mentioned. They move with extraordinary speed. So in the age of AI, building products is become so easy. Everyone can use Cloud Code or ChatGPT to build a product in just 2 days. So product is not a mode. So everyone can iterate probably dozens of times in a day. So it definitely speed up the experimentation. So I think the one who evolves fast will win. So number 1, number 2 is the speed, and then the third one is I found the founders who are very successful. They are really good at building network, because right now everyone have access to the right technology. And so easy to have access to the foundation model or the API. So the problem is not who has access to technology. The problem is who has access to the right people. So I think for everyone who can build good network is very important. So I think that's top 3 traits when I see founders that matters most.
That's a great answer. I think we, and the lot of questions already I'm proposing right now, so I'm gonna go a little off the book. We have seen a big wave of physical AI. I was deep tech founder 7 years ago, and it was hard raising capital for deep tech, because it's long, it's lengthy, it's milestone based. The payment come later. But this year, I think deep tech getting just unprecedentedly popular. So I know we touched a little bit on the thesis that we're covering right now. You guys are interested, but I want to hear it. Everyone chime on this one. That do you think the physical world is going to be the next Silicon Valley main theme that is going to solve the software issue where Anthropic's killing everyone? Like, what's your take on that one?
Actually, this is such a great question, because this morning I had the that Raww robotics founder on our podcast. I think like nowadays, like thinking about, I feel like eventually like how. So he was saying that like 40 out of 100 newcomers in the, I don't remember it was a list whether it's Fortune 500 or something very, I would say traditionally legit, quote unquote, like is hardware companies. So think about Apple or Tesla, all these companies have a hardware component. In the end of the day, AI have to really be implemented into your day-to-day life. So I feel like that's why physical AI is like really taking a leap right now, because the last generation of physical AI was literally people, I guess, like reinventing a car. But now, like everything is like controlled through AI, because of there's so much software that's already involved. The differentiation is extremely hard, and you have to raise a lot of money to build an AI model, same as like you are building an actual hardware company. So now it is like creating a different software companies. Differentiation is like kind of like we're at a cap of like doing so. So I feel like that's maybe why. Another thing's like from our fellowship, so I created my own fellowship. It's called G Fellow. So essentially, it's like the top student from different schools in the U.S. all came together to source deals, talk about like AI trends, and like we have like some top investors coming and give us like mini advisory sessions. So one of the things that like the student we're talking about is HaaS, hardware as a service. So essentially, like the students are really bullish about deep tech because they feel like they want to implement something that they can actually touch. So the trends I'm seeing on campus, people are building like the electronic, I guess like all AI focused like vending machine. People are making boba or ramen using vending machine. I feel like that's kind of like the last generation of technology.
Sequoia did a AI coffee maker, like coffee machine deal. So just put that in perspective. It's getting popular.
So I'll keep it brief. I invest in physical AI. I like physical AI, but I think it is really, really overhyped. I think a lot of money is going towards funding teams that have no experience in the physical part of the physical AI, right? They are like the AI companies that have innovated on the model side, and they are trying to apply it to the physical world with no real experience of deploying systems in real world. So I'm trying to be financially disciplined and trying to not get caught in the hype, but I feel like this physical AI hype will correct faster than the Gen AI hype.
So I think this is the next big thing. I buy into that. I think a few years ago, if you had a robot do things out in the open in a warehouse, it was just not possible. You would have to manually code every single action, grab this, put it here. But now the rate at which things are changing is mind-boggling, absolutely. And I think the smartest people are, like, you just look at, like, among your network, what are smartest people doing? They are going into that space right now. And right now, this physical AI, embodied AI, this feels like a few years ago when OpenAI, Anthropic, Cohere were all kind of early, 2 or 3 years ago. And there's going to be this moment where suddenly, just like ChatGPT, things will all come together. Are we there right now? I don't think so. Will we get there? Answer is yes. Because, like, I'll start with a simple example. Like, you are out in the open, you're trying to catch a ball. And in your mind, like, if we have a model mimicking our mind, like, do you follow on the trajectory of the ball so you can grab it? Or do you paint every single frame? Like, hey, there was a piece of grass, some kid was playing in the background. And different model vendors are following different approaches to solve this problem. You have, like, just pure play software vendors like MI Labs and others who are building technology like JEPA and others, and solving that pixel level problem or that prediction in a latent space. A lot of work is happening in that space. The next space is obviously robotics, and how do you make every robot intelligent so you can work at the interface of robots and give it brain power. So those models are also getting into production. Humanoids is obviously a key thing. I think there will be some time before we'll see humanoids in our houses and hospitals. But the good news is this is happening. I think this is real. There's a lot of problems to be solved there. The data just does not exist. Like, to train an LLM, you could just scan the internet and look at PDFs and web pages and download all the stuff and encode it into weights that you could use. But here, how many videos are there? And that's why some of the video generation models, when you give it a task, they fail to solve it. But if you take a video generation model and put it out into production, that's why robots just won't work. So what you need is high quality, high fidelity data. So the data vendors will become key, where you will have people wearing sensors and cameras and generating real data in real time for post-training of some of these models. Monitoring these will be a big problem as well. So observability becomes a key pain point. Inference becomes a key pain point too, because the way you do inference for a world model is very different from the way you do inference for a large language model, just because you run into KV cache issues, which keeps growing exponentially with the volume of data, because in world model, you are basically predicting the next state of the world instead of the next token. So exciting time to be around in Silicon Valley, and I do believe this is the next big thing.
I'll just tell you where I'm looking at. I hope it's the next big thing. I hope it's a big thing, because I want someone to do my laundry. I want someone to pick up the toys. I want someone to do a whole bunch of stuff for me. A few ways I'm thinking about it, and I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback as well. One option is going horizontal in some layer where the team has a specific advantage. So, for example, there's a company that we're excited about that just focuses on the safety layer for robotics. So this team, professor headed up an AI safety lab out of one of the top universities. And so his domain expertise is safe AI, robotic simulation, understanding safety, sitting on the committees that develop the regulations, etc. So if you're going to go horizontal, pick a place where you are the best in the world. That's one option. The other is, similarly, going a particular vertical that is very niche, where you also have domain expertise and can generate a data advantage. So for example, if a company we're interested in doing interior construction, right? So for that, you need to be able to have a real understanding of what does this world of interior construction look like, painting, sanding, taping, etc. Do you have relationships with general contractors, real estate companies, etc.? And then just dominate that category. And then you can do construction for data centers and expand from there, doing electrical, you can do plumbing, you can do other categories. That's where I'm currently thinking. That said, I have also invested in sort of like a pure data collection company, right? There's like dozens of these, right? Strap a camera, wear some gloves, capture information, maybe it's force, alter things, map the 2D to 3D, cross embodiment, etc. I think that's a tricky place to play unless you have some specific nuance that is hyper valuable. So those are the things that I'm interested in.
Same here. I bet on physical AI. Back in January, I also moderate panel in CES. So the title is Last Mile of Physical AI. I think physical AI right now is going out of our lab and start to go into production. There's one company I'm very impressed. Like it's called Neolix. Basically, it's in China, and they're already selling over 10K autonomous driving trucks. So basically, they're already running in China. Also, they get licensed in Middle East, so they're also running in Middle East right now. And we see so many robotic companies, as all the panelists said, they're replacing like firefighters. They're doing some labor work that humans can't do. They're also trying to do this tedious labor work. So I think that will be the huge wave for the next cycle.
All right. Thank you everyone for this amazing thoughts and sharing what you think about the next wave. And we're unfortunately at time, and I know we probably have a lot to chat on, so we have a cocktail that is in the second floor. If you want to stay around with the VIP ticket holders, please find the speakers up there. We can have more conversation going, but for now, thank you all for this amazing day. And I want to give a long thank list to my friends who help on different kind of things. Wilson, Anchor, Ashish, Dr. Paul Fong, and Grace. Thank you so much for sticking through the day. And I think we have great turnout. Feel free to grab a drink upstairs, unwind a little bit. And we'll see everybody up there. Not everybody, but sort of the ticket holders. Maybe not everybody. Maybe just we'll give a beer away. So. Okay, and the volunteers, come up, we'll take a photo. Volunteers, can we get all the volunteers from the, we'll take a photo there. All right, get Helena.